Get ready for the dictation. Start. The petitioners herein were before the High Court of Judicature at Bombay, claiming to be in public interest, seeking that the decision of the high powered committee dated 25/3/2020 to the extent of clauses 3, 4 and 7 of paragraph 8 decisions oblique minutes of HPC meeting dated 11/5/2020 excluding certain categories of offences provided in paragraph 5.1 and 5.2 for the purpose of grant of interim bail and corrigendum dated 18/5/2020 of the minutes of the meeting of HPC dated 11/5/2020 to the extent of clarification that the class and oblique or category of offences determined by the HPC for temporary release be not read as a direction made by it for mandatory release of prisoners falling in that category or class, and a further clarification that the case of every prisoner be considered on case-to-case basis for deciding the temporary release of such prisoners. The petitioners had also sought for a direction to the respondents to release the prisoners convicted for life imprisonment without insisting that they have been released in the past at least twice, either on furlough or parole. The High Court, on making a detailed consideration, has arrived at the conclusion that the decision of the HPC does not call for interference except to the extent of the observations that were made in paragraph 36 of the order. The petitioners therefore claiming to be aggrieved and before this court in this petition. We have heard the learned counsel for the petitioners and perused the petition papers. Though a detailed consideration has been made by the High Court whereunder separate concurring reasons are given by the learned judges on the division bench, it is necessary to notice that the present issue has arisen only on the limited scope for grant of interim bail oblique parole oblique furlough due to the unforeseen circumstance of the pandemic, namely novel coronavirus, which requires decongesting of prisons with the intention of social distancing to be maintained so as to prevent the spread of virus. It is in that circumstance this court, while registering a suo motu writ petition number 1/2020, had taken note of the pandemic and in that context also referred to the decision taken by the Government of India to issue an advisory regarding social distancing. In that background, having taken note that there are 1339 prisons in this country and approximately 4,66,084 inmates are lodged in such prisons, had adverted to the occupancy rate which is high, and therefore considering the prisons to be overcrowded, had issued certain directions to ensure decongesting and maintain social distance. At the first instance, this court, through the order dated 16/3/2020, had directed notice to be issued to all the stakeholders in this regard so as to suggest immediate measures which should be adopted for the medical assistance to the prisoners in all jails and the juveniles lodged in the remand homes for protection of their health and welfare. Subsequently, through the order dated 23/2020, this court inter alia issued the following directions. We direct that each state/union territory shall a high-powered committee comprising of one chairman of the State Legal Services Committee, 2. The Principal Secretary by whatever designation is known as, 3. Director General of Prisons to determine which class of prisoners can be released on parole or an interim bail for such period as may be thought appropriate. For instance, the state/union territory could consider the release of prisoners who have been convicted or are under trial for offences for which prescribed punishment is up to 7 years or less, with or without fine, and the prisoner has been convicted for a lesser number of years than the maximum. It is made clear that we leave it open for the high-powered committee to determine the category of prisoners who should be released as aforesaid, depending upon the nature of offence, the number of years to which he or she has been sentenced, or the severity of the offence with which he/she is charged with and is facing trial, or any other relevant factor which the committee may consider appropriate. Stop.